busy, harried lives lived at an ever more frenetic pace, we often feel dissociated, disconnected. It seems that true connections with other people are missing. They're hard to find. When's the last time you sat with a group of like-minded people in a safe and intimate environment of mutual respect, trust, and empathy, and discussed one of the big questions of life? When's the last time you had a chance to tell your pivotal life stories? When's the last time you listened intently to another person's stories and felt enriched by them? Yes, we need one another. And one of the best ways to meet that mutual need is to be part of a covenant group here at UUFC. We offer these groups as a way for people to explore their deepest understanding of life in the midst of a community of faith. So, what exactly is a covenant group? It's a group of 8 to 12 people who gather monthly to connect with each other as they discuss a predetermined topic. The deep sharing and listening that take place foster intimate connections and a sense of shared community that are often difficult to achieve in the larger congregation. While they are not support groups, members do support each other by listening with empathy and caring for and helping each other when the need arises. As the subtitle for today's service says, covenant groups are known for nurturing souls, challenging minds, touching hearts, and strengthening relationships. We currently have 7 covenant groups here at UUFC. I'd like to recognize each one of these groups at this time and would ask that members of each group stand as I recognize your group. Just stand briefly so that we can all see you. We have the Sojourners group, led by Karen Hebel. We have the Butterfly group, led by Charlotte Holmes. We have a Young Adult group, led by Wayne Leftwich. We have the COG 2 group, led by Bob Phillips. We have the Imagine group that I lead. We have a new group that was formed last winter or early spring that has not named itself yet, but they are led by Mary Hilliard. And then our newest group, which just met for the first time this past Tuesday, is a parenting group. Do we have anyone here this morning who attended that parenting group session? Oh, good, wonderful, good. We hope that that one will take off too. Some of our groups have a distinct focus, like the parenting group or the young adults, and they discuss topics related to that focus. Others choose a more eclectic approach and tackle a wide variety of topics. Discussion topics are chosen by the facilitator with input from the group members and range from the secular to the spiritual, from the moral to the cultural, from the serious to the lighthearted. Some examples of topics include ethical reasoning, approval, the art of patience, balance, the pursuit of happiness, home, intergenerational understanding, and even UU humor. The facilitator usually sends the topic out via email a week or so before the meeting, often with readings and questions to stimulate thought prior to the gathering. You don't have to be a member of UUFC to be part of a covenant group. Friends are welcome as well. And if you're new to UUFC, this is hands down the best way to get to know and bond with others in the fellowship and really feel a part of things here. The one thing we ask is commitment to attending and participating in all the meetings, unless, of course, illness or travel or work or family obligations make it impossible. The groups work best when limited to no more than 12 members. Any larger than that makes it difficult to allow ample time for each individual to be heard. So why are they called covenant groups? They're not convents, as new members Faith, Hope, and Charity mistakenly thought at the stewardship luncheon a couple of weeks ago. And they're not covens, as a neighbor of mine once accused us of having. No, they are covenant groups, called such because each one creates its own covenant or agreement which outlines the communal expectations they promise to abide by at their meetings, such as listening respectfully, speaking one at a time, practicing kindness, and maintaining confidentiality. Each group meets once a month for an hour and a half to 2 hours, most in the evening, but at least one in the daytime. Most meet here at UUFC, either at Founder's House or in the social room or library here in the main building. Some have preferred to meet in members' homes from time to time. Some serve refreshments, others don't. Each group selects its own name, one that in some way reflects the group's unique identity. Most groups are led by a designated facilitator, but some prefer to rotate that role. You get the gist here. It's kind of a anything goes. It's up to the group exactly how you function. The job of the facilitator is to see that everyone is given the opportunity to speak with no one person dominating the conversation, to make sure that the agreed upon covenants are being followed, and to at least try to keep the group focused on the topic, sometimes a difficult task as the conversations often seem to wander off on their own tangent, and that's fine as long as it appears to be okay with everyone in the group. So what's so special about being part of a covenant group? Why do we encourage everyone to join one? Well, here are some comments that I hear time and time again. My group is like my family, only better. I know I can trust these people, so I feel free to express my deepest feelings, something I've never felt comfortable doing before. My group is so much fun. There's often just as much laughter as there is serious conversation. The topics challenge me to think about things I've never considered before. My group lifts me up when I'm down. Our strongly bonded relationships are just amazing. We've grown to care deeply for one another. I've learned so much from my group. I've grown both spiritually and intellectually. When I was so sick, my group cared for me in countless different ways. For a newcomer like me, it was absolutely the best way to meet and bond with others. My group makes me feel like I belong here at UUFC, like I've really found a home here. So what actually happens at a covenant group meeting? Well, I have some friends here who are prepared to show you exactly what a meeting is like, to provide a glimpse into a typical covenant group gathering. Friends? I'll ask each one of you to introduce yourself before we begin and say which covenant group you're a part of. To open the meeting, some groups light a chalice, some don't, but all begin with some sort of opening words. Following opening words is check-in, a time for each person to provide a brief update on how they're doing and what of significance has happened in their lives in the past few weeks. Following check-in, the facilitator usually introduces the topic and the conversation begins. Some groups like to give everyone a chance to speak without interruption or response from the others before any kind of back and forth conversation begins. Others prefer a less structured approach and invite free back and forth conversation from the beginning. Since part of most written covenants is the promise to begin and end on time, the facilitator keeps an eye on the clock and wraps things up as the end time approaches. So now you know a little bit more about covenant groups, and if you're not already in one, I'll bet you're asking yourself how you can join one of these special groups. Most of our current groups are already full. Remember that we like to limit them to 10 to 12 people, but we are eager to form more groups if the interest is there. I invite you to see me or one of my friends from our mock group in the social room after the service today to get a sign-up form for covenant groups and fill it out. We'll also gladly answer any questions you may have. Or if you prefer to think about it for a little while, you can wait, and when you're ready, go to our website, www.uufc.org, click on Members, and then click on Covenant Groups. There you'll find a sign-up form that you can fill out and send to me. Sign-ups will continue through the month of October. Then next month, we'll see what we have and where we can place everyone who signed up and hopefully begin the process of creating some new groups if necessary. I thank you for listening, and I hope our service has communicated the joys of covenant group membership.